Look at her, still playing with her little phone app like a teenager, my sister, Fiona, sneered across the Thanksgiving dinner table. Seriously, Sarah, when are you going to grow up and get a real job? That retail position at Davis Electronics isn't exactly a career. I sat there silently, trying to maintain my composure as my family's judgment crushed me. It was Thanksgiving evening at my parents' house, just me, Fiona, our parents, and my cousin, Tina. The smell of roasted turkey and cranberry sauce filled the air, but all I could feel was the weight of their disapproval. My name is Sarah Lee, and I'm 25 years old. For the past 3 years, I've been working at Davis Electronics while secretly developing an AI-powered inventory management system. The retail job wasn't just about paying bills, it was valuable field research. Every frustrated customer interaction, every inventory mishap, every inefficient process I encountered helped me refine my app, but try explaining that to my family. Sarah, honey, my mother chimed in with that condescending tone I knew too well. Fiona's just concerned. Look at her, she's already a senior marketing executive at 28. We just want what's best for you. I glanced at my phone again, trying to hide my smile as I read the latest email from Apple's development team. They were impressed with my prototype and wanted to schedule a final meeting, but I kept quiet. I'd learned long ago that sharing my dreams with family only invited mockery. She's probably just playing games again, Fiona laughed, reaching for another dinner roll. Remember when she said she was learning to code last year, as if someone who barely made it through basic math could build something worthwhile? My father nodded in agreement. Technology is a young man's game anyway, sweetheart. Why not let Fiona help you get a proper marketing position? I took a deep breath, pocketed my phone, and forced a smile. You're right, I'm probably just wasting my time. The lies tasted bitter, but I reminded myself that tomorrow would change everything. The meeting with Apple's executives was scheduled for 9 a.m. sharp. Tina caught my eye from across the table and gave me a subtle wink. She was the only one who knew what was really going on, and her silent support meant everything. I looked around at my family as they continued their Thanksgiving dinner, laughing and chatting as if they hadn't just crushed my dreams. The familiar ache in my chest reminded me of all the times they dismissed my ambitions. The pattern started long before I began working on my app. Growing up in Albuquerque, I was always the different one. While Fiona excelled in social situations and brought home perfect report cards, I spent countless hours in my room, fascinated by computers and technology. My father called it hiding, but I was learning, growing, teaching myself to code through online courses and countless late-night debugging sessions. Remember when Sarah tried to build that website for Mom's book club? Fiona's voice cut through my thoughts. What a disaster that was. What they didn't know was that disaster had been my first real coding project. Sure, it was clunky, and the design was imperfect, but it taught me valuable lessons about user interface and database management, skills I would later use in my app. At least she's reliable at the store, my father offered, as if that was the highest praise I could hope for. The manager says she's always on time. If only they knew that my manager, Beth, was one of my app's earliest supporters. She'd seen firsthand how my system could track inventory, predict sales patterns, and streamline customer service. You're solving real problems here, Sarah, she told me last week. Don't let anyone tell you different. Tina reached under the table and squeezed my hand. 3 months ago, when I'd shown her the prototype, she'd immediately understood its potential. They'll see eventually, she whispered, low enough that only I could hear. My mother started clearing the plates, and I automatically rose to help. Fiona, tell us more about your new promotion, she said, beaming with pride. Your father and I were just telling the neighbors about it yesterday. I carried dishes to the kitchen, remembering all the nights I'd worked on my app after long retail shifts, running on coffee and determination. The neighbors might hear about Fiona's promotion, but tomorrow, they'd read about my success in the morning news. My phone buzzed again, another email from Apple's team, confirming tomorrow's meeting. I allowed myself a small smile as I rinsed the dishes. Let them think I was just a retail worker with unrealistic dreams. By this time tomorrow, everything would change. After dinner, I retreated to my old bedroom, needing a moment alone. The space remained exactly as I'd left it. My old computer still sat on the desk, where I'd written my first lines of code. I could hear my family's voices drifting up from the living room, their laughter punctuated by occasional mentions of my name. I opened my laptop to review the presentation for tomorrow's meeting when a message notification popped up. It was from Mark, my old classmate who now worked at Davis Electronics' corporate office. What I read made my blood run cold. Sarah, you need to know something. Fiona came by the office last week. She was asking a lot of questions about your app and your work schedule. I thought it was strange, but my hands trembled as I scrolled through the rest of his message. Apparently, Fiona had been gathering information about my project, claiming she was worried about her sister's career choices. She'd even tried to access my work computer. A soft knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. It was Tina. Hey, you okay? You disappeared pretty quickly after dinner. She sat beside me on the bed, concern etched on her face. Fiona tried to spy on my project. My voice cracked slightly. She went to my workplace. Tina, why would she do that? Tina's expression darkened. Because she knows, maybe not the details, but she suspects you're on to something big. I overheard her talking to your mom earlier. She's worried you might embarrass yourself by presenting an amateur app to actual tech companies. The pieces suddenly clicked into place. Fiona's pointed comments at dinner, my parents' increased criticism of my career choices, the constant attempts to push me toward marketing. They weren't just dismissing my dreams, they were actively trying to discourage me from succeeding. Look at this, Tina said, pulling out her phone. She showed me Fiona's latest Instagram post, a photo from her office with the caption, "Time to help my little sister find her path. Sometimes tough love is the best love. #family first." The condescension in those words made my chest tight. All those nights I'd spent perfecting my code, all the user testing and debugging, they thought they were saving me from myself. My own family saw me as nothing more than a retail worker with delusions of grandeur. I can't believe I was going to tell them about the Apple meeting tomorrow, I said quietly, closing my laptop. I was actually going to share my success with them. Tina squeezed my shoulder. Then don't. Let them find out with everyone else. Sometimes the best revenge is letting people's assumptions blow up in their faces. She was right. Tomorrow, they'd learn the truth, but not from me. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. I barely slept that night, my mind racing with thoughts of tomorrow's meeting and Fiona's betrayal. At 6 a.m., I quietly packed my laptop and presentation materials, planning to leave before anyone else woke up. But as I crept down the stairs, I heard voices from the kitchen. I'm telling you, Mom, we need to stop this now. Fiona's voice was sharp in the early morning quiet. Sarah's going to humiliate herself with this app thing. I saw what she's working on at Davis Electronics. It's just basic inventory tracking, nothing special. I froze on the stairs, my heart pounding. How did she know the details of my project? I spoke with my friend at the patent office, Fiona continued. There's no record of Sarah filing anything. We can't let her waste her life on this fantasy. My mother sighed. Maybe we should call Apple's HR department, warn them that she might not be what they're expecting. The genuine concern in my mother's voice somehow hurt more than Fiona's scheming. They really thought they were protecting me from myself. I stepped into the kitchen, making my presence known. You don't need to worry about calling anyone, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. I can handle my own career choices. They jumped, startled by my appearance. Fiona recovered first, her face arranging itself into a sympathetic smile. Sarah, we're just trying to help. This app of yours, it's sweet that you're trying, but you're not a real developer. You need to be realistic. Realistic? I pulled out my phone and opened my development portfolio. Like how I'd been realistically working on this project for 3 years, or how I've realistically been teaching myself programming since high school. Honey, my mother started. Fiona works with real tech companies. She knows what they're looking for. No, she doesn't, I cut in. She works in marketing. She has no idea what my app actually does because she only saw the basic interface we use at the store. The real system is much more complex. Fiona's smile faltered slightly. I was just at your workplace last week. I saw everything. You saw what I wanted you to see, I replied, gathering my courage. The store version is just a small part of the full system, but you wouldn't understand that, would you? Because you were too busy trying to sabotage me to actually ask what I was working on. The kitchen fell silent. Through the window, I could see the sun rising over the Sandia Mountains, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. In a few hours, everything would change. I have a meeting to get to, I said, turning to leave. Don't bother calling Apple. They already know exactly who I am and what I can do. Sarah, wait, my mother called after me. We're your family. We just want to protect you from disappointment. I paused at the door, thinking of all the nights I'd spent coding, all the tutorials I'd studied, all the test runs and bug fixes. They had no idea what I was capable of because they'd never bothered to look past their own assumptions. Sometimes, I said quietly, the people who think they're protecting you are actually just protecting their own view of who you should be. With that, I walked out, leaving them standing in the kitchen. The morning air was crisp and cool, filled with possibility. I had a meeting to get to, and I wasn't going to let anyone stand in my way. The Apple headquarters lobby was intimidating, all glass and polished steel. As I waited for my meeting, my phone kept buzzing with messages from my family. I ignored them all, except for Tina's. They're freaking out. Fiona's been making calls all morning, trying to figure out what's really going on. A sleek elevator carried me to the executive floor, where Beth, my store manager, was waiting. The sight of her familiar face in this unexpected setting made me stop short. "Surprise?" she said, grinning. "Did you really think I was just a retail manager?" I've been Apple's head of retail innovation for the past year, evaluating new technologies in real-world settings. My mind raced, remembering all the times Beth had offered suggestions for my app, all the questions she'd asked about its capabilities. What I'd thought was friendly interest had been professional evaluation. "Your sister came to the store last week," Beth continued, her expression turning serious. "She tried to access your development files, claiming she was your business partner. When that didn't work, she implied you might have stolen the concept from her marketing firm." I felt the blood drain from my face. "She what?" "Don't worry," Beth assured me. "We have security footage of her attempts to access your computer. Plus we've been documenting your development process since I first noticed your prototype 6 months ago. Your sister's claims won't hold up." The meeting room was already full of executives when we entered. I pulled out my laptop, hand steady despite my racing heart. This was my moment. "Good morning, everyone," I began. "For the past 3 years, I've been developing an AI-powered inventory system that doesn't just track products. It predicts customer behavior, streamlines supply chains, and adapts to real-time market changes." As I demonstrated the system, I could see their eyes light up with interest. The AI's ability to predict inventory needs based on weather patterns, local events, and social media trends was unlike anything currently on the market. "This is impressive," said the chief technology officer, "but why test it in a small electronics store?" I smiled. "Because retail is where the real problems are. Working on the sales floor showed me what customers and employees actually need, not what executives think they need." The presentation continued, and with each feature I demonstrated, I could see them becoming more convinced. When I finished, there was a moment of silence. "We'd like to make you an offer," the CTO said finally, "not just for the system, but for you to join us as Deputy Director of Retail Innovation, working alongside Beth." The number he wrote on the whiteboard made my breath catch. It was more money than my entire family made in a year. "One more thing," Beth added. "We're planning to implement your system in all Apple stores and partner retailers by next quarter. The announcement goes out tomorrow morning." Partner retailers, including Davis Electronics, where my family's store was a franchise, they would have to use my system, the one they dismissed as a waste of time. As I signed the preliminary paperwork, my phone buzzed again, a message from Tina. "Fiona's in full panic mode. She just found out her company's biggest client is Apple, and they're announcing some major retail tech acquisition tomorrow. She's worried it might affect her marketing contracts." I put my phone away, suppressing a smile. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. Back at my hotel room that evening, I was reviewing the final acquisition paperwork when my phone erupted with notifications. Fiona had apparently discovered that her marketing firm's newest project, a complete retail technology overhaul for their clients, was being suspended pending a major announcement from Apple. "Sarah, we need to talk," read her message. "This is serious. Please call me." I was about to turn off my phone when it rang. It was Beth. "Just wanted to warn you," she said. "Your sister's firm has been trying to get information about tomorrow's announcement. She's claiming she needs to protect her family's interests. I've had to block 3 calls from her already." I sighed, rubbing my temples. "She's probably worried about her marketing contracts." "It's more than that," Beth hesitated. "Sarah, she's been telling people she helped develop your system, says she provided the core marketing concepts that made it work." My hands clenched into fists. Even now, Fiona was trying to take credit for my work. A lifetime of being overshadowed by her flashed through my mind, every achievement diminished, every dream mocked. "There's something else you should know," Beth continued. "Your parent store isn't just any Davis Electronics franchise. According to our records, it's one of their top-performing locations in the Southwest. They've been using that success to block smaller franchises from opening in the area." The revelation hit me hard. All those times they'd dismissed my retail job, they'd been profiting from the same industry they'd mocked me for working in. My phone buzzed again, a message from my father. "Just heard about Apple's announcement tomorrow." Fiona says it might affect our store. What do you know about this? Before I could respond, another message came through, this time from my mother. Honey, please tell Fiona she can help fix whatever problem you've created. She has connections. I felt a familiar pain in my chest, but this time it was accompanied by something else, determination. For years, they'd used their success to justify undermining mine. Tomorrow, that would end. I called Tina to share the latest developments. Your sister's been calling everyone she knows at Apple, she reported. She's desperate to find out what's happening, and your parents, they're worried sick about their precious store. They should be, I said quietly. My system doesn't just track inventory. It identifies unfair market practices, including how larger franchises sometimes block smaller competitors. Tina was silent for a moment. So, when your system goes live, it'll flag their store for anti-competitive practices? Yes, I took a deep breath. They'll have to change how they operate, just like every other franchise. Sarah, Tina said softly, are you sure about this? It's your family. Family shouldn't try to sabotage each other, I replied. Besides, I'm not doing this for revenge. The system flags these issues because they hurt small businesses. My family will just have to adapt, like everyone else. As I prepared for bed, I thought about tomorrow's announcement. My family would learn about my success, not through a quiet conversation, but through a public revelation that would shake their comfortable world. Sometimes, karma comes in the form of a software update. The morning of the announcement, I sat in Apple's press conference room, watching the live stream of the event on multiple screens. The CEO was describing how the new AI system would revolutionize retail management. I spotted my family's shocked faces among the Davis Electronics franchise owners who were attending virtually. This innovative system, the CEO continued, was developed by our new Deputy Director of Retail Innovation, Sarah Lee, who spent 3 years perfecting it while working in retail herself. The camera feed showing the franchise meeting captured my family's reactions perfectly. My mother's coffee cup slipped from her fingers, my father's face drained of color, and Fiona, her expression shifted from confusion to horror as she realized the implications. The CEO went on to explain how the system would ensure fair market practices across all franchises. I watched as my parents exchanged worried glances, no doubt thinking about their territory control tactics that would soon be exposed. My phone lit up with a message from Fiona, you need to stop this now. Do you have any idea what this will do to Mom and Dad's business? To my marketing contracts? I left it unanswered. The presentation continued, with Beth demonstrating the system's features. Starting next week, this will be the mandatory management system for all Davis Electronics locations, she announced. No exceptions. I thought about all the times they'd laughed at my little app, all the times they'd told me to stick to retail. Well, I had stuck to retail, and now retail would stick with them in ways they never expected. In the days following the announcement, my family's carefully constructed world began to crumble. Their Davis Electronics store was flagged for multiple anti-competitive practices, requiring immediate changes to their operation model. Fiona's marketing firm lost several major contracts as her clients switched to agencies with experience in the new retail management system. I received a lengthy email from my mother, full of mixed emotions, guilt over dismissing my abilities, fear about their business's future, and a desperate plea for help. Dad called twice, leaving voicemails that shifted from angry accusations to humble apologies. Fiona, predictably, tried a different approach. She showed up at Apple's offices, claiming she had critical insights about the system's development. Security footage showed her being politely but firmly escorted out after Beth revealed the documented evidence of her previous attempts to sabotage my work. Tina visited me in my new office, now with a stunning view of downtown Albuquerque. How does it feel? She asked, gesturing to my nameplate, Sarah Lee, Deputy Director of Retail Innovation. Surreal, I admitted, looking out at the Sandia Mountains in the distance. But right. My phone buzzed with another message from my parents, asking if we could meet to discuss helping them transition to the new system. I placed the phone face down on my desk, focusing instead on the future ahead of me. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about moving forward and letting others face the consequences of underestimating you.